Good afternoon. It's Black Friday 2022. Now, I'm going to tell you something about me and Black Friday. A girlfriend asked me a little while ago, "Hey, it's Black Friday. Ain't you going out shopping?" I said, "No. I have what I would call a religious objection to doing any shopping throughout the whole Black Friday bullshit, because I cannot, first of all, participate with good conscience in the crass commercialization of a holiday which is to commemorate the birth of our Lord and Savior. And I certainly cannot participate in something that is about nothing but serving mammon, whether you be poor or rich. And I cannot participate in something that enriches bastards like the fucking Waltons, okay? Because of the way they abuse and mock disabled people in their stores. So what I'm going to do is read something special instead, something to make everybody feel good. This is certainly dedicated to all the children in the world for all time, because I hope that each one of them gets touched by this at some point. It's specifically for my son, Charlie Brown, because it is now his favorite story that I read to him since the other night when I gave him a live telling of it. So when he asked me for it again today, I said, okay, I was ready to do it, but we had to get off. I think his phone ran out of charge or something. So I said, fine, let me read. I had a couple other ones picked. I still may do those, but probably will. But this one is for Charlie Brown, now and forever. The Fisherman and his wife. I first heard this story, I think in 5th or 6th grade. A girl in my class who I kind of liked, her name was Tina Byerly. She read this aloud during for an assignment in a class. And like Charlie, I never could forget this story. And I don't think you will either. So here we go. There was once a fisherman who lived with his wife in a miserable little hovel close to the sea. He went to fish every day, and he fished and fished. And at last, one day, as he was sitting looking deep down into that shining water, he felt something on his line. When he hauled it up, there was a big flounder on the end of that line. Flounder said to him, "Listen, fisherman, I beg you not to kill me. I am no common flounder. I am an enchanted prince. What good would it do you to kill me? I shan't be good to eat. Put me back in the water then, and leave me swim about." "Oh," said the fisherman, "you need not make so many words about it. I'm quite ready to put back a flounder who can talk." So saying, put back that flounder into the shining water, and it sank down to the bottom, leaving a streak of blood behind it. Then the fisherman got up and went back to his wife in the hovel. "Husband," she said, "have you caught nothing today?" "No," said the man. "All I caught was one flounder. He said he was an enchanted prince, so I let him go again." Did you not wish for anything then?" asked the good wife. "No," said the man. "What was there to wish for?" "Alas," said his wife, "isn't it bad enough to live in this wretched hovel? You might at least have wished for a nice clean cottage. Go back and call him. Tell him I want a pretty cottage. He'll surely give us that." Alas, said the man, what am I going to go back there for? Well, said the woman, it's you that caught him and let him go again. He'll certainly do that for you. Be off now. The man was still not very willing to go, but he did not want to vex his wife. And at last he went back to the sea. He found the sea no longer bright and shining, but dull and green. He stood by it and said, Flounder, flounder in the sea, prithee hearken unto me. My wife, Ilsebil, must have her own will, and sends me to beg a boon of thee. Flounder came swimming up and said, What do you want? Alas, said the man, I had to call you, for my wife said I ought to wish for something as I caught you. She doesn't want to live in our miserable hovel any longer. She wants a pretty cottage. Go home again, said the flounder. She has her wish fully. The man went home and found his wife no longer in the old hut, but a pretty little cottage stood in its place, and his wife was sitting on a bench by the door. She took him by the hand and said, Come and look in here. Isn't this much better? They went inside and found a pretty sitting room, a bedroom with a bed in it, a kitchen, and a larder furnished with everything of the best in tin and brass and every possible requisite. Outside, there was a little yard full of chickens and ducks and a little garden full of vegetables and fruit. Look, said the woman, is this not nice? Yes, said the man, and so let it remain. We can live here very happily. We will see about that, said the woman. With that, they ate something and went to bed. Everything went well for a week or more, and then the wife said, Listen, husband, this cottage is too cramped and the garden is too small. The flounder said he could have given us a bigger house. I want to live in a big stone castle. Go to that flounder and tell him, give us a castle. Alas, wife, said the man, the cottage is good enough. What would we do with a castle? Never mind, said his wife. You just go to that flounder and he'll manage it. No, wife, said the man. The flounder gave us the cottage. I don't want to go back. As likely as not, he'll be angry. Go all the same, said the woman. He can do it easily enough and willingly in the bargain. Just go. The man's heart was heavy, and he was very unwilling to go. He said to himself, it's not right. But at last he went. Found the sea was no longer green. It was still calm, but dark violet and gray. He stood by it and said, Flounder, flounder in the sea, prithee hearken unto me. My wife, Ilsebil, must have her own will. It sends me to beg a boon of thee. Now what do you want? Said the flounder. Alas, the man, half scared, my wife wants a big stone castle. Go home again. She's standing in front of it already. Then the man went away thinking he'd find no house. But when he got back, he found a great stone palace, and his wife was standing at the top of the steps waiting to go in. He took him by the hand and said, Come in with me. With that, they went in, found a great hall paved with marble slabs, and the numbers of servants and attendants who opened the great doors for him. Walls were hung with beautiful tapestries, and the rooms were furnished in golden chairs and tables, while rich carpets covered the floors and crystal chandeliers hung from the ceilings. The tables groaned on every kind of delicate food and the most costly wines. Outside that house there was a great courtyard with stables for horses and cows and many fine carriages. Beyond this, a great garden filled with the loveliest flowers, fine fruit trees. There's also a park half a mile long, and in it were stags, hinds, and hares. Everything that one could wish for. Now, said the woman, is not this worth having? Oh, yes, said the man. And so let it remain. We will live in this beautiful palace and be content. We'll think about that, said his wife, and sleep upon it. With that, they went to bed. Next morning, wife woke up first. Day was just dawning, and from her bed she could see the beautiful country around her. Her husband was still asleep. She poked him with her elbow and said, "Husband, get up and peep out of that window. See here now. Could we not be king over all this land?" "Go to that flounder, we will be king." Lot's wife said to the man, "Why should we be king? I don't want to be king." "Alas." "Why not?" said the woman. "Go you must. I will be king." So the man went. But he was quite sad because his wife would be king. "It's not right," he said. "It is not right." When he reached the sea, he found it dark, gray, and rough. Evil smell it. He stood there and said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, prithee hearken unto me. My wife, Ilsebil, must have her own will, and sends me to beg a boon of thee." Now, what does she want? "Alas," said the man, "she wants to be king." "Go back. She's king already." So the man went back, and when he reached the palace, he found that it had grown much larger, and a great tower had been added with handsome decorations. There was a sentry at the door, and numbers of soldiers were playing drums and trumpets. As soon as he got inside that house, he found everything was marble and gold, and the hangings were of velvet. Great golden tassels. Doors of the saloon were thrown wide open, and he saw the whole court assembled. His wife was sitting on a lofty throne of gold and diamonds. She wore a golden crown, carried in one hand a scepter, pure gold. On each side there stood her ladies in a long row, each one a head shorter than the last. He stood before her and said, "Alas, wife, you're now king." "Yes," she said, "now I am king." Take a look at this. There she is, she's king, see? I think that poor fisherman got the short end of the stick when he married that one, eh? He stood looking at her for some time. Then he said, "Oh, wife, it's a fine thing for you to be king. Now we shall not wish for anything more." "No, husband," she answered quite uneasily. I find the time hangs very heavy on me hands. I can't bear it any longer. Go back to that flounder. King I am, but I must also be emperor. Alas, wife, said the man, why do you now want to be emperor? Husband, she said, go that flounder. Emperor I will be. Alas, wife, said the man, emperor he can't make you, and I won't ask him. There's only one emperor in the country, and Emperor the Flounder cannot make you. That he can't. What? Said the woman. I am king. You are but my husband. To him you must go, and that right quickly. If he can make a king, he can also make an emperor. Emperor I will be, so go quickly. He had to go, but he was quite frightened. And as he went, he thought, this won't end well. The Emperor is too shameless. Flounder will make an end to the whole thing. Daddy came back to the sea. Now he found it quite black and heaving up from below in great waves. It tossed to and fro, and a sharp wind blew over it, and the man trembled. So he stood there and said, Flounder, flounder in the sea, prithee hearken unto me. My wife, Ilsebil, must have her own will, and sends me to beg a boon of thee. What does she want now? Said the flounder. Alas, flounder, he said, my wife wants to be emperor. Go back, said the flounder. She's emperor already. So the man went back, and when he got to the door, he found that the whole palace was made of polished marble, with alabaster figures and golden decorations. Soldiers marched up and down before the doors, blowing the trumpets and beating the drums. Inside the palace, counts, barons, and dukes walked about as attendants, and they opened to him the doors, which were of pure gold. He went in and saw his wife sitting on a huge throne made of solid gold. It was at least 2 miles high. She had on her head a great golden crown set with diamonds 3 yards high. One hand she held the scepter, the other hand the orb of the empire. On each side of her stood the gentlemen at arms in 2 rows, each one a little smaller than the other. From giants 2 miles high down to the tiniest dwarf no bigger than my little finger. She was surrounded by princes and dukes. Her husband stood still and said, Wife, are you now emperor? Yes, said she. Now I am emperor. Then he looked at her for some time and said, Alas, wife, how much better off are you for being emperor? Husband, she said, what are you standing there for? Now I am emperor, I mean to be pope. Go back to that flounder. Alas, wife, said the man, what won't you want next? Pope you cannot be. There's only one pope in all of Christendom. That's more than that flounder can do. I will be pope. Pope I will be. So go at once. I must be pope this very day. No, wife, he said. I dare not tell him. It's no good. It's too monstrous altogether. The flounder cannot make you Pope. Husband, said the woman, don't talk nonsense. If he can make me an emperor, he can make a pope. Go immediately. I am emperor, but you are my husband, and you must obey. So he was frightened and went, but he was quite dazed. He shivered and shook, and his knees trembled. A great wind rose over the land, and clouds flew across the sky, grew dark as night. Leaves fell from the trees, and the water foamed and dashed upon the shore. In the distance, the ships were being tossed about to and fro on the waves, and he heard them firing signals of distress. There was still a little patch of blue in the sky amongst the dark clouds, but towards the south, they were red and heavy, as in a bad storm. In despair, he stood and said, Flounder, flounder in the sea, prithee hearken unto me. My wife Fisherman must have her own will, and sends me to beg a boon of thee. No. What does she want? Alas, said the man, she wants to be Pope. Go back. Pope she is. So back he went. Found a great church surrounded by with palaces. Pressed through the crowd. Inside he found thousands and thousands of lights. His wife, entirely clad in gold, was sitting on a still higher throne with 3 golden crowns on her head. She was surrounded with priestly state. And on each side of her were 2 rows of candles, from the biggest as thick as a tower down to the tiniest little taper. Kings and emperors were on their knees before her. Kissing her shoe. Wife, said the man, looking at her, are you now Pope? At first she sat stiff as a post, without stirring. Then he said, now, wife, be content to be Pope. Higher you cannot go. I will think about that, said the woman. And with that they both went to bed. Still, she was not content and could not sleep for her inordinate desires. The man slept well and soundly, for he walked about a great deal in the day, but his wife could think of nothing but with further grandeur she could demand. When the dawn reddened the sky, she raised herself up in bed and looked out the window, and when she saw the sun rise, she said, Ha! Can I not cause the sun and the moon to rise? Husband! She cried, digging her elbow into his side. Wake up and go to that flounder. I will be Lord of the universe. Her husband, who was still more than half asleep, was so shocked he fell out of bed. And said, I mean, he thought he must have heard wrong, you know. Alas, wife, what did you say? Husband, she said, if I cannot be Lord of the universe and be cause the sun and the moon to set and rise, I shall not be able to bear it. I shall never have another happy moment. Then she looked at him so wildly that it caused him a shudder to run through him. Alas, wife, he said, falling on his knees before her. The flounder can't do that. Emperor and Pope he can make, but this is indeed beyond him. I pray you control yourself and remain Pope. Then she flew into a terrible rage. Her hair stood on end. She kicked him and screamed, I won't bear it any longer! Now go! Then pulled on his trousers and tore away like a madman. Such a storm was raging. He could hardly keep his feet. Houses and trees quivered and swayed, and mountains trembled, and the rocks rolled into the sea. The sky was pitchy black. It thundered and lightened, and the sea ran in black waves, mountains high, crested with white foam. He shrieked out, but could hardly make himself heard. Flounder, flounder in the sea! Prithee hearken unto me! My wife Ilsabil must have her own will, and sends me to beg a boon of thee. Now, what does she want? Alas, he said, she wants to be Lord of the universe. Now, she must go back to her old hovel, said the flounder, and there she is. And so they are to this very day.